I'll start off with just want to share a little bit about what's been happening in Children's Camps International. And Jan and I and our team went to Cambodia here back in October. And this is actually about our first time where it's worked out that we can come and share. So we just want to share with you kind of what's been happening in the ministry. This is relaxed setting. It's Q&A. If you have questions, ask. This is what I want, because some of it for us, it's just, this is my life. I live it, and God's called me to this, and I live and breathe it every minute that I'm awake. And so it's just been my passion as I see God at work. And he's working in incredible ways that hopefully I'll be able to share with you today, but all the glory goes to him. And that's where we want to kind of start off with. I'm going to open in prayer, and then we'll go from there. Father, thank you for this morning. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to glorify you. Talk about what you're doing and what's happening in the world around us. Lord, thank you for your guidance and direction. And Lord, as we share about you today, Lord, it's about you. And we want to honor you and glorify what you're doing. And I just want to thank you now, in your holy and precious name. Amen. For those that know me, and you've heard my name before, Dave Thiessen. I work with Children's Camps International. A lot of you hear from the Harvest for Kids side, and that is one of the initiatives we have, which generates revenue to send to Children's Camps International. So that's what it does. But today I want to share with you a little bit about what's been happening. Yeah, I'm going to throw numbers on the screen. They're only numbers, okay? What really counts for us is what the meat of what comes out of those numbers that we've seen that transformed lives. The vision of Children's Camps International, fueling the fire for Jesus Christ. Real simple. Is we aren't here to, we want to work alongside the mission of within the countries. We're partnering with the indigenous churches, equipping them to give them the skills and the tools to run a vibrant children's ministry, and where we evangelize and disciple. The key thing for us is discipleship. You can bring the kids to a week of camp, or some cases it's a single day, depending what country you're in. But it's the discipleship aspect is what we are looking for. So did I push the wrong direction here? There. Just our core values as an organization. I just wanted to share those with you. Over the last year, this has become extremely important, is ministry focus and submission to Christ's authority. So often, we can turn around and start doing things on our own, start maybe popping our buttons a little bit to say, this is us that's doing it, it's not, it's God. And we're trying to submit to his authority as we go about doing his work. Ministry to children, that is our focus. The children reach the adults. It's really what we've seen within our countries. The children go to camp, end up making a transformation in the lives of their parents. Many parents are coming to know Jesus as their personal Savior. And I'll share some of those stories today. Vibrant camp ministry, really focusing on giving the kids an incredible time. Strong partnership with Indigenous Church. We are not bringing them a North American style camp. It is not a North American style. Keep them strong biblically. Keep them in God's word, but work with the local church. Because in the end, who's going to disciple them? It's not us. We can't do it from here in North America. We're looking for the churches to do that. And we're empowering the Indigenous church. There's an urgency. The more and more, and I'm going to share a little bit, the transformation that's taken place even in Cambodia in the last little while, and even in India, some of the countries that we are in. We're non-denominational, number one, evangelical, teaching the Word of God. That's number one. And effective training, discipleship, follow-up. That is one of our pillars. Good stewardship of resources as an organization, Christ-centered direction in all we do. Everything that we do, we work extremely hard to this. Not that we're perfect, but we're trying so hard. Everything needs to be Christ-centered in everything that we do. Kind of give you a little bit of review of 2022 and what God did. This chart's kind of, I'm a numbers guy, so I have to share a few numbers with you just to put perspective. It's maybe a little hard to see, but you'll see at the top, these are all the countries we've been in since it started in 2003. So we've been in India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Belize, Kenya, Fiji, Cuba, Mexico, and Brazil. Today we are in India, Cambodia, and Brazil are the 3 countries that we're in. This is the amount of kids that have gone to camp since it started. It's 3.685 million that have heard the message of Jesus Christ through this ministry since 2003. As you can see, India kind of plays a major role in it, and that's where we've seen just a huge uptake there. Revival happening through COVID. We've struggled through COVID. These countries, all 3 countries that we're in, the revivals that are taking place are just amazing. And you don't hear about it. Media is not going to talk about that. They're not going to share with you what's happening in those countries. This year was God year. We had just about 800. And by the way, kids, there's kids here. I can see a few kids. If you remember some things later, or even adults, I have prizes. Oh, so it means you got to listen, okay? So I have some prizes. Gifts made by our Cambodian leaders. So they actually make these, sell these so that they can actually pay for their wages so that they can do the ministry. So I have some prizes here later. God's good. 860,243 kids attended camp in 2022. And it's all God's glory. Just to kind of give you perspective of 2022, 5,600 churches were part of the program this year that we are working with. We trained just about 20,000 leaders. Just over 20,000 leaders were trained in serving, preparing them. One of the things that became really important to us is teaching the countries to fish. That's a term I use, is we're moving towards, is if we could get out of the way, help them be able to do it themselves, and then just get out of the way and let them go. That's our goal. And so we've been teaching them and been doing lots of work on that side. Countries now are funding 80% of all the costs to the camps. And it's all through their own programs. It's through businesses. It's through microfinance projects. There's lots of different things that they're doing. And some I'll share a little bit today. There's just not enough time to cover all of it off. But right now, $2 a child is what it costs from our side. Our side is $2 a child, and the rest is covered in country. And $2 a child gives them a week of camp and weekly follow-up for 1 year. That's what it's down to now, and it's hard to fathom. Even when I say $2, that's like a Tim Hortons coffee. If you like Tim Hortons coffee, that's all it takes for them to do it, and it's all due to the country's owning it. And our goal is one day, let's just get out of the way. We'll let them run. There's still another 170 some countries that need to be reached. And to God goes all the glory. He's doing it. We just get the privilege of going for a ride. And it is a ride. I always just love it. There's days where he shows up in ways that I can't even imagine. So, being a numbers guy, I have a couple of perspectives to give you. So, 860,243 kids attended camp in Saskatchewan and Alberta in 2021. Every kid that went to school from kindergarten to grade 12, 245,274. That's perspective. That would be every child in Alberta and Saskatchewan from kindergarten up would be hearing the message of Jesus Christ and being followed up every single week for 1 whole year. God gets all the glory. He's moving in incredible ways. I'm one more perspective here for you. Since 2003, 3.685 million kids have heard the message of Jesus Christ. If you were to span them, their arms length out, it would span 3,932 kilometers, which would be from Winnipeg to Mexico City. You would have to drive slightly over 40 hours without stopping to see every face that has been impacted. And God's working. It's him that's doing it, but we just want to give him the glory this morning for everything that he's doing. Cambodia. We were in Cambodia in October, and that's their rainy season. We actually got there during when it didn't rain a lot. For them, rain is like a light drizzle, but it does it for 45 days straight. So it rains fairly hard there, but we were there during the time. Here's a picture of myself. There's our leader, Mon Sukit. He has been part of the team for about 6 years, and now he took over leadership 2 years ago, and it's been incredible to see the growth of the ministry through him and the team. There's Shannon Arantz. She volunteers, works with us, and she was on this trip as well. Beside Shannon are two of the workers, Say and Nay Shante is their last name. And they have a joy. When they work with the kids, you got to smile as soon as you see them working with the kids, because they have such a passion. And then the gentleman beside, he's our accountant out there, and that is Sanit. Sanit and Sarith. Sarith are involved with the development. Sanit, which I learned this year, his grandfather or great-grandfather was the first person to bring the gospel to the nation. Came from Vietnam into the country, and that's where it started, and from him to his dad to him. And it's been something very important. This is the 100th-year anniversary of his dad, his great-grandfather, coming into the country. Here's some pictures of some of the kids. When you see their smiles and their faces, you can't not but smile at least. Here's one of the new camps that we are just starting up, that was started now this year. They wanted us to come, and so we went to this school. The school system in Cambodia works alongside of us, and we're allowed to use their facilities. So we have favor within the government. At this time, we do. Favor within the government to be able to use their facilities to bring the camps. So we'll use a school. Actually, it was really kind of neat, which I didn't know until we got to one of the churches this year. We get into these churches, and they're smaller. They'll sit maybe 75. And we found out that there's actually a gentleman from South Korea that's building churches in the physical buildings. He's helping them with the physical buildings. The building we were in was number 300 that he's built. He's personally built them himself. He just feels the importance of just bringing that community place together so they can worship. So here's one of the camps. Here's some more of the kids. You can see they're teaching, they're learning lessons as they go along. And worship. Oh, you can't describe the worship. When they're worshiping, it's... I come to understand, when you spend time with them and the level they worship. It is a level that you can't describe it to anybody who's never seen it. There's a joy that, I don't have that same joy to that level that these kids do. And they're just kids. Here's another one of the camps. They're playing a game here, some of the kids and activities. Here's one of the new camps we started. There's only 20 kids at this camp. It's in the rural Cambodia, and the pastor's pretty excited about the start of new camps. And they'll just set a mat on the ground, and then they'll do camp right there, right in the middle of. There's nothing else there. No, sorry. There was chickens off to the side, a fish pond just off a little bit over to the left, and they were busy butchering while we were doing camp. And that's just the way things happen. Here's a new camp. It was really interesting. You can see we're all in the picture. They're kind of together. And by the way, at any time you want to interrupt me, just put up your hand, and I'll answer any questions you have. Here's a new camp, and here's the team with us that were there. The guy that's bending down in sandals, he actually created, this camp is totally 100% self-sufficient. How did he do it? He's got 3 bulls. He's the breeder for the whole community. So they bring their cows over to get bred from him. And so then his bulls breed them, and they pay him to breed their cows. And that's how he generates his revenue to pay for his church and for his camp. And so this is one of the first new ones that they've started here in this last year. And he's a joyful guy, and it was fun having conversations about him. The barns are a little bit different than what we have here. I'll tell you that. It's not quite the same. Food. You know what it's like. Last Sunday we had it. Food is part of community. It's all part of creating community. Every one of the camps, they cook for the kids. It doesn't matter which country it is. They're all having food for the kids. Food is part of it. It's not the main thing. Bringing the gospel is main. but the food plays a major role. Food creates community. We see it so often. The kids are sitting around, they're loving food, and it's a great time. And food is fellowship, as you know. And these are some of the Cambodian foods. Cambodia food, of all the 3 countries, I will say this: Cambodia is the best food. I have to say that hands down. Just incredible food. I just love it. I'll even show you a picture of something that I ate that if I knew at the time, I probably wouldn't have ate it. So they didn't tell us what it was, but I'll show you a video of it here right away. This was exciting. This was after we were there. We were in this area, and this is a brand new area. And this is the community that all came out to hear the Christmas message about Jesus Christ. In this one, 500 kids showed up to hear the message of Jesus Christ. And I was standing they're close to that tree, just off to the side, and that's a massive area. And this is just a small segment of it. But yeah, 500 kids and their families came to hear the message of Jesus that Sunday morning. And it was pretty incredible. Now there will be camps running throughout that entire area. Here is a special picture to me. I may have cried a lot after this picture. Put perspective for you kids. I didn't know this at the time, but if you're a rural Cambodian kid, at the age of 12, your education stops at grade 6. There's nothing else available for you. You have to move, if you want to get your grade 12, you have to move to a major center where you have to find a place to live, and you have to get a job so you can afford to eat to get your rest of your high school education. All of these kids are doing that, every one of them. And then they're also serving at 3 camps, being LITs, leaders. And you can see the joy in their face. They have such an incredible joy and so excited. And it was so cool to get to meet them and get to know them. And I'll tell you this, I'm in Cambodia, I'm tall. I finally get to be a tall person in one country. Only country that I can be tall in is in Cambodia. But it's so fun and exciting to see these kids serving. We were at a couple of them. We spent, the trip, it's from basically first thing in the morning till night, and we've seen lots of the different follow-up programs. Here's one of the programs that we were at. These are leaders in training. And God is making a difference in that country, huge difference. And we're seeing the transformed lives in many different ways. Here's one of the classes we attended. It was a discipleship graduation class. This is their graduation. They took 2 3-day sessions to be trained to be LITs and leaders to run the camps. So this was the last of their 2nd day of training, and this is a graduating class for that community. It's only for the one community. Here's the oldest graduate. I forgot the age. She was, I think, 75, but she wanted to reach her nation and reach her kids. The youngest graduate right here was, what is the young guys? He is 15 years old, and at that class, that's the one. This guy, Simbath, he became a Christian a year ago. He wanted a picture with me. He just wanted to have a picture with me, and I wanted a picture with him after I heard his story, too, as well. He became a Christian about a year ago. He attended the first training session, and they said during the first training session, he cried the whole time, understanding the love that Jesus had for him. And it just melted his heart and just understanding. And he was so excited to be able to step in and lead. And he is now leading. He was a one of the graduates, and he's just excited about serving God. And he's going to be going now back to his community, where he'll be one of 3 leaders in that community that will reach 50 to 75 kids, somewhere in there in Cambodia. That's kind of how that operates. Future leaders. You see a little kid in that picture? That kid is a leader. He's not yet, but he knows he's called to be a leader. He's already attending the training programs at the age of 8 to get ready for when he gets the opportunity to be old enough to lead. And he has an incredible joy of serving. Here's another one of the kids. He was in everything. He had to be there. He was so excited to be standing beside these other leaders, because one day he will lead. And he is excited about the aspect of leading. This picture I took with my phone, and I'll never forget. We were at the development, the training. This is day one of the training, and we got there early. And this tuk-tuk pulls up, three-wheel vehicle that they have. It pulls up, and these two little boys get out, and I'm thinking, who are these guys? Like, okay, what are they here for? I start wondering, and find out that these two guys have been in this for about 4 years now, and their goal is to be leaders. They're 2 years away from being leaders, but they're coming for the training. They've been coming for the training so that they can be developed. You know, sometimes we think, okay, it's all about the ministry. It's all about that, working with the kids and everything else. We always got to be ready for the moment. This guy here, his Sir Nave is his name. He was our driver. Day 2 or day 3, was it day 3? Day 3, he became a Christian. In the truck that he was driving, the van he was driving us around, he did the prayer. He prayed and accepted Jesus Christ into his heart. And so here we are busy, and he's listening to us talk and share about the mission. He wanted Jesus. He saw the joy that was there, and he wanted it. He became a Christian. I talked to our leader Thursday night, and he said, yeah, he's connected to a church now, and he's growing in his walk. So it's more than just the kids. Everything, all of us, when we walk out of this building, have those opportunities to reach their naves in our community. They're there, they're waiting to hear the message of Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm going to share a little bit of dynamics of what's happening in Cambodia. This picture, my first trip in 2014, you would have never seen this. In fact, I am a coffee person. I require, it's an addiction, you can call it that. I needed my coffee in 2014. It took day 7 till we found our first coffee shop. Yeah, okay, so you can imagine how stressed out I might have been at that point. But I accepted the coffee, and it was terrible. It wasn't a good cup, but it was coffee. Today, to say the change and transformation of a country, in a good and bad way, there's about 2,000 of these now everywhere you go. There's even Starbucks now in Cambodia. And it's all change and transformation. A Cambodia coffee is now available for anybody. How has that happened? The country is transforming. The culturally is changing. The influence of other countries is having a major impact in theirs. Those coffee shops are not for the locals, by the way. They're for the South Koreans and the Japanese that are traveling through the country to get access to all their fruits and vegetables. And so that's what those things are built for. It's not necessarily for the Cambodian people. So yeah, that's on there. Amazon Coffee is what it's called. It's a cafe, and they're everywhere that you go. Transportation in Cambodia, probably not a lot of seat belts on this one, but that is a normal thing that you would see in Cambodia. Is a truckload of people probably coming back from harvesting in the fruit or the vegetables, and that is not abnormal. Not as much as we saw in 2014. We saw a station wagon. We had thought there was probably 30 people inside, and there were 6 people on the roof driving 95 kilometers an hour down the road. So you think, okay, there's not a lot of safety here. When the brakes hit, these guys are dead, right? So, but that's normal. That's normal transportation. In Cambodia, they're rich in, from a food perspective, they're not having the same issues we are right now with food. They produce a lot of their own food, and vegetables are produced right in country. And so this is a mango farm. This is one of the farms that we had a chance to go see. All the fruit off this farm, though, goes to South Korea. The South Koreans have bought it. They pay for mangoes what you can't imagine you'd pay for a mango. It's well over $10 US a mango, per mango. So they special. We didn't see them this trip, but previously they got paper bags around them so the insects can't make marks on them. They've got to look perfect. So they will have a certain market for that. But there's lots of mango farms in the area. Rice is huge, and a lot of the other vegetables as well. Cambodia, I sit back and think of all the reduction of plastic and everything in the world. If you go to some of these other countries in the CO2 emissions, I don't think we have such an issue in Canada. Probably more is created in Cambodia than all of Canada. But this is life. This is what they have. And they're in a way of needing to deal with it. Yeah, John. Oh, good question. It would fit in Saskatchewan quite easily. Yeah, it's not huge. 32 million, just a little bit under us. Yeah. Yeah, so there's 32 million people inside there. Everywhere you go, there's people or water. It's just either one of the two. Yeah, there's lots of our leader and actually you're going to meet him this fall. His name is Monsukit. We're actually bringing all our leaders into the country to do leadership development. So we'll have actually Brazil, they'll all be here. They might all be in this church at one point. We're trying to arrange that now. But we're doing leadership development. Monsukit he's actually a farmer. He farms as well. And his farm, which is a good-sized farm, is 2 hectares. That is a big farm. Yeah, he can't wait to jump on one of these combines here. I was showing him pictures of a combine, and he can't grasp, what it's like here farming. But he's going to come to the country here, and we'll be working alongside of them, some development. Cambodia culture. It's different than Canada in so many different ways. Here's Monsukit, that's our leader, and that's his son, standing right beside him. They involve their kids in the ministry. Their kids are part of the ministry. Their families are part of their ministry. And so when they do ministry, the kids come and dad models to them a godly life. And he involves them in it. He doesn't separate them from it. And also as well, his wife, so Keith's wife sends him out. She's sending him out with a blessing. Knowing he's gone for 2 weeks, she's okay with that. Because knowing why they're here. Their goal and their job and what they've been called to is reach their nation. And so when they go out, they do it together, bring their kids and give them the example. This is a soup that I ate. Maybe I'll play it first, and then you guys can then I'll tell you what it is after. It's a delicious soup. See that stuff? That looks really nice. You know what that soup is? Does Stephen, would you have eaten this one? I don't know. This here is what they call cow stomach soup. It's the stomach of a cow. After we were trying to figure out, is it stomach 1, 2, 3, or 4? With the green, we're not sure if it's probably stomach 1 is what we're thinking. But it's food. It's protein. At the time, after I ate it, I said, from here on in, we're going to ask what we eat before we eat, okay? This was the one time we said, you order whatever you want, right? Yeah, we learned a lesson that time. But yeah, it's best. I would never have eaten it before, after. So for myself and Chad are the only 2 that ate it. And we're still alive, so yeah. Infrastructure. I know this picture's a little bit distorted, but everything's changed. Since 2014, in Cambodia, everything has changed from an infrastructure. If 2014, their main highway would have been like driving from Dalmeny to Langham. And you know what that highway's like? Today, you have double-lane highways going in all directions. Not built by Cambodians. This highway was built by Japan. Japan built this one. What it is to gain access to their fruits and vegetables. And so they gave them a trucking route to be able to do it. The big highway that China has built is substantially larger than this, and it accesses into Taiwan. And it goes right through Cambodia into Taiwan, and that's where they get a lot of their transportation back and forth through. So a lot of these roads have been built by other countries, not by themselves. This is hard to describe. Stephen is probably the only one who can be able to relate. It's now 40 degrees Celsius. This is 4:30 in the afternoon, and those fish have been sitting on the ground probably since morning for the market. So you can't describe the smell of that fish, and then the live snakes and eels that they had in containers that I did not go near. I do not like snakes. And so they had all kinds of different fish, chicken legs. That's just the open market in Cambodia. And it's hard to describe the smell unless you've been there and seen it. Buddhism. Buddhism is the number one religion In Cambodia, 96% of the people believe in Buddha, and that is the religion that they have cling to. This is one of their temples that they have, and inside of there, this is for their ancestors. So that plate in front, that's where they would put food every morning for them. There would be filled the glasses with a tea or of some kind, and that is to worship them. And so you'll see food where people will be starving. There's food sitting out for their ancestors that could be used to help the kids. So it's everywhere. You'll have this in front of quite a few of the houses. This is their medical system. We saw this about 6 times. The only picture I got. See the guy on a motorcycle? Up above, you see a little black thing? That's his IV. He's on a motorbike driving back from the hospital, and he's got an IV in his arm with that little sitting on a pole. And we saw that 6 or 7 times where people were in the hospital, and this is their trip home, is their IV is still in their arm, and they're stuck it on the bike as they're driving. It was different, but that's what it is. And then there's fresh fish off for delivery to the market. This was right in Phnom Penh when we were there. If you ever want to experience it and join us on a trip, more than welcome to join us on a trip. It will transform your life. It'll change your perspective of the world. We're incredibly blessed where we are. We're blessed. And it's always hard to come back, I'll be honest. Coming back and then just seeing our blessings that we have and to see what a lot of other people in the world have today and what they're living in is incredible. But every one of them, there wasn't a camp we went to where they have a joy that you just can't describe it. They're so happy, so excited to know who Jesus is. So that is Cambodia. I'll share a little bit about a couple of other countries so that you guys can know. Here is 2 weeks ago in India. Was a pastors' meeting. 1,000 pastors showed up. They're all part of the ministry within in India now. There was over the last week and a half, 2,000 pastors have met. The first 2,000 have met to get going, starting their camps, and they met. And by the way, all those pastors, 2,500 of them that time prayed for us. They're praying for North America. Every one of them were praying for us. They know what we're doing here to help serve, and they're just praying for God's favor, God's blessings, and also that we would have lives passionately serving Him. They couldn't all fit in the building. They had to put them on the outside of the building at that pastor's meeting. And that's everyone that we go to now. That they're overflowing, which is cool. It's neat to see. Here's a youth rally in Chennai. I've attended 2 of these before. There's 2,500 here. You only see a portion of them. There's a bunch behind, and then there's outside. The building is massive. This is a youth rally they hold every year just to get, these are all will be leaders in training, and these are individuals that will be part of it. Their worship and prayer time, yeah, tears are flowing, and it's because of their love of Jesus. From this meeting, when it was done, Anthony texted me and said, it was, it was a very good meeting and everything. And he said we had 300 individuals step forward that are now going to be missionaries within their country. 300. And to be a missionary, then what they will do is they will go home, pack their bags, and say, Lord, where do you want me? And they will just go. They don't hesitate. So 300 people 2 weeks ago went home, packed their bags, and left their houses to serve. And it's exciting to see. God is working. He's working in this world. And my prayer is God will get a hold of North America and that we will have that same passion. And yeah, it was pretty cool. This is Camp Brazil. I'll share a little bit about Brazil yet. So we work in Brazil. The couple that are in charge in Brazil are Marco and Claudia Moreno. They live up in Fortaleza. That is the 6th most dangerous city in the world to live in. And on an average day, there's 20 deaths, murders in that city. And it's just, that's where they are. But they're in the heart of the poor area of Brazil. And they've developed an online program. And I know I just shot a screen of it. But to kind of give you an idea, they have 5 years of curriculum built up now for the kids. And it's all in Portuguese. And the kids log on, so the kids get in, they do their program. They're actually converting all of this now to English. We've been asked to come into England with it. We've actually been asked to come into southern Manitoba with this program. And so it'll be a program that will be available for others to use. And it is solid scriptural teaching. And currently, if you get numbers, there's 10 supervisors overall, 13 regional supervisors involved, 131 coordinators, 51 pastors are working, 1,218 leaders, and there's currently 5,246 kids working through programs right now. So they've developed, a fairly comprehensive program on it. There's student manuals, there's videos, training material, and then they complete their lessons. And then what they do, a totally different model than what you would see here in Canada. These are now starting of the conversion all over to English. Is what they're working on. The goal is 6 months to have it all into English and then available for English-speaking countries. Small group model. It's more of a small group where you'll go to a house, followed with a church involved with it, but you'll have 8 to 10 kids. That's it, and then 1 leader, 2 leaders in the house, teaching on more of a small group model, more of the house model. There's 1,100 small groups currently running in Brazil. They're in every one of the provinces now, mostly in the north. That's the poor area of Brazil. Scott and Patsy would, if they were here, they'd be able to reiterate that area. That area is more of the poor end of the country. So lots of working in there. This is one of the small groups that you would see in Brazil. Here's another one. This is a brand new project that just started. Actually, the MB Church in Winkler is owning a portion of it now. They're funding a bunch of new camps that we're doing in one area. So some churches are just owning it, working alongside the leaders, and staying true to the curriculum. That's not negotiable. Is work alongside the ministry, and this is one of them. Here's some of the kids of Brazil. Some of the pictures of faces that are there with it. So, are there any questions that you may have about the ministry, about what God's doing culturally, anything? Yes. Yep. Yes. Yeah, it is. A couple of the countries, yes. Belize is totally on their own, running their own camps now. Cuba is totally on their own, running their own camps. Some of the countries we pulled out. We pulled out because the model, they didn't want to do discipleship. Like Mexico, we were in Mexico a couple of years ago. We pulled out of Mexico because the churches didn't want to do discipleship. They wanted to do the fun stuff for the kids, and that's good. It's all good. But we are about discipling as well. You just can't introduce them and then walk away from the kids. So in Mexico, we will go back to Mexico. We're just in a different model and redo it again. But our goal is get them functional and then get out of the way and then encourage them. In fact, the Cambodians, Monsukit, his goal and their whole team's goal as we sat around the table and we did lots of eating together in fellowship. We did eat a lot of really good food though, really good, more than cow stomach soup. But their goal, as they told us at the end, says, in 5 years from now, we don't want your money. We don't want any more of your money. We just want you to come here and celebrate with us what God is doing. And so their goal is in 5 years, be 100% self-sufficient, which is good. There's lots of other countries that I got 2 emails this week requesting us to come to their country. And just resources. We just don't have the resources. And number one, have to have a national leader. We cannot lead it from here. If we go there and lead it, it will fail every time. So it's got to be a national leader. Any other questions? I would say India is the biggest right now. Like, we don't know if we'll be running camps in India within a week. We don't know. We will know on March. March is when our renewal for their license is renewed, and then we will find out at that time. There's no real, the other countries, Cambodia, there's no pushback. We're helping their kids. The Cambodian government sees us as a plus. The Cambodian government, though, has really partnered with the Chinese. A lot of, I forget how many billions of dollars an outflow from China into Cambodia. And then one day, you know what's going to happen? China's going to say, we'd like our money back, and then that country will be owned by Cambodia. And then our ministry will change. Yeah, and when that happens. Brazil, pretty open. In fact, it's really a weird place in Brazil. Where we are, that's pretty high with your drug lords and everything else. In fact, one of the, and this is culture, right? One of, two robbers broke into the church and stole a bunch of stuff from the church up in Fortaleza area. And so, and the drug lord's kid goes to that church. Just because they're drug lords doesn't mean they don't want their kids to be trained well. So what did he do? He took both those guys and murdered them. Made an example, said, don't you ever touch that church again. So that's what he did to clean that up. So that church won't be bothered again. Different cultures, different places. It's not like Canada. So yeah, so we see lots of support from even where you would not think it would come from. A lot of people see the training of their kids as teaching them good values. And through those good values, they're learning good morals. They're going to be good, upstanding kids. So even though they may not be, they're totally fine with their kids getting the education. So it's different, right? So different than North America, than where we are. Transformed lives. There's thousands and thousands of stories of, we can't share them all, of kids going home and from our camps, and then next thing you know, their parents come out of either Hinduism or Buddhism into the Christianity faith and are freed from the bondage. Thousands. I think Anthony shared one here when he was here of the guy that was Hindu, had the cows, milk cows, and he was taking the milk into the temple and then just giving it, the cows there, or they would pour it on the idols, and their daughter was starving to death. She came to the camps, came to know who Jesus, and through that, they became Jesus. They now are part of the church and are actually brought all their cows back out of the temple and are now funding a camp. And it's through those things that we see so many transformed lives. Any other questions? Stuff for us as 2023 and beyond. We realize the most important thing we need today is a prayer warrior team. We are looking for prayer warriors. We send an email out every 2 weeks. It'll highlight, and we just ask that pray. We know that what we're called to do is going to require a lot of warriors to be able to lift up this ministry and what God is doing. The attacks are immense. I cannot describe to you the attacks. On us personally, even after the 2,500 pastors were praying for us, I sent that message out to all our staff. The next morning we had our staff meeting. That was our hardest day that we've had in weeks. Because as soon as we started praying, the enemy's trying to distract us, take us down, discourage us in so many different ways. And we just are looking for a prayer team that are willing to step up, get an email every couple of weeks and every 2 months. We're going to do a Zoom call with one of our leaders, and we'll spend some time in prayer together. That way you get to meet them and understand them. So if you want to join, no pressure. Just come see me. We would love to have you part of that team. This year, we're going to be doing a country leader development. We're going to be bringing all 3 leaders into Canada so that they can experience Canada, and we're actually going to go through best practices, what works good in each country, and then see how we can incorporate it into what we're doing. And so that's going to be happening here last couple of days of August and the first 2 days of September. And then those leaders will all be out here. They're going to be out here. You'll get a chance to see them, meet them. Monsekeet will have no problem going to the dairy, where Anthony didn't like going to Mitch's because we thought we had set him up. We had teased him that we were going to leave him behind to milk cows with Mitch. You should have seen the look in his eyes after we did that. It was total fear. But yeah, Monsekeet would probably jump in and help. So he just loves farms. So we're doing development. We think it's really, really key. Some of the other things we're working on is microfinance projects in countries. We call it a business in a box. We're putting them together, and then we're looking for people to come alongside and help. Not all projects cost $10 million like they do in Canada. A simple cow is $1,000. And we're working on projects helping them. That's probably the number one thing that Cambodians asked. As you know, in the 70s, the Khmer Rouge came in, and they basically cleaned out 46% of their population, wanting to take it back. They did it within themselves. And so as we were sitting down, working through business projects with them for a couple of days, they just said, we've never done a business before. I'm figuring it on my own. My leadership, it doesn't exist. It's not there. It wasn't there. So they're looking for help on how to do it. So we'll spend time helping them do businesses. And then we're developing something new. It's called Camp in a Box. Here are all the tools that are required to set up it properly from start and getting that all together, because we know that as we move along, we will be moving to different countries. And we want to have everything ready and set up so that we will be ready to step into a few other countries. We have 3 on the list right now that we feel we can go into. It's just funds is what it comes down to. Because right now, today, you saw 860,243 kids. Today, right now, infrastructure is in place for 2 million. 2 million kids. It all comes down to, now this year, $2.50 a child. That's what it calls. That's it. So we're looking for favor. God will open up the doors. But you know what? God may not open up the door at all. This year we may only send 100,000 kids, but it's his kids, and it's his ministry, and he will do it his way, and he's asking us to join. It may come totally different. Many years ago in India, the funds shut down for a while. Well, today in India, they understood when that got difficult, they had to own it themselves. That's when things under persecution, they actually got it. So we may not send more than another 100,000 kids this year. I don't know. It's his ministry, not mine. But through it, we just need to be faithful to do what we're called to do, each and every one of us, and that's it. Nothing complicated. It's real easy. You know, I sat at the end of the year, and I sat back and said, God, you're so good. Incredible. When I did the final analysis at year end, because Wendell was no longer in the team, I'm all by myself. The October before, I said, Lord, how am I going to do Harvest for Kids and Children's Camps International and Build It for Kids in BC on my time? There's no way it can be done. And at the end of the year, God generated through Harvest for Kids $400,000 more than it ever had before. And I'm thinking sometimes I have to do it myself. He doesn't need me. He doesn't need any of us, but he wants us to come for the ride. I always say, he wants us there. He wants us to celebrate alongside. And so, yeah, we don't know what this year looks like, but we leave it in his hands. But we're excited to see what he's doing. Goal this year is to reach 1 million kids. We really feel called that 1 million kids is what we are to reach this year. And we're working towards that. That's the ministry. God's good. He's moving. He's working. And in our countries, there's revival. Two of the countries that I've seen, Cambodia and in India, the revival is huge. Through COVID, they all asked the question, because they all have gods in those countries, which one do you want, right? You can just pick the one that you want for the day. Through COVID, they all came to realize the world is broken. Am I in the right track? And through that, there's massive revival taking place. That picture I showed you of that 2,500 kids or adults or whatever in Chennai, that youth rally, that same day, 2 miles down the road was another youth rally where there was another 1,500 kids, not part of our ministry. And I love Anthony's comment. One of his leaders said, we should go there and shut them down. They shouldn't be operating. And Anthony said, should we not be praising that God is working everywhere? He doesn't need to use us. Just let him go. God's at work. Let's be excited about what he's doing. So, yeah, that's our ministry. That's what God's been doing. Here's some material. I know we're getting near the end. This would be a typical, does anybody here speak Khmer? Anybody? You do speak Khmer? No, you don't. Okay, I didn't think Khmer would be the language. Here's some of the training material that they would be using. In India, we provide soccer ball and everything else. In Cambodia, the churches provide all of the activity materials. So the soccer balls and all those things. Here would be some of the material that they would use, training material, the stories that they would be using, speaking on, and they have you have a whole year of curriculum that they will have developed. They work alongside CEF, Christian Evangelical Fellowship, within the country. That country, it works good there, and so that we partner alongside of them for the material in there. But they're at the place now where they're going to start developing their own. Cool. We're down to the last couple of minutes. So this is where the prizes come in now. See how well you were listening. I got to see hands go in the air. First hand. First prize. This is made by Nay Shanti. She makes these with her students. They sell them. And then from that, this goes towards paying kids to go to school. This helps send kids to school. They make them there, sell them here, or we brought some of it back, but they sell it there or wherever they can find a place for it. So, see who gets the closest here. So how many kids went to camp in 2022? 860,600. Close enough, 243. There you go. You were listening. Get 860,000. Okay. Can somebody name the 3 countries we're in? Awesome. All for you. And then I have one more. Just one more prize yet. This one here. So let's see how well you do. So what kind of soup did I eat? Cow stomach soup. There we are. You're welcome. Thank you. And if there's any questions about the ministry or what God's doing, or if you want to come on a trip, love to take you. Real interesting right now, trying to get to our countries. We actually should be coming back from, well, what's today? I'll be in Brazil today. I should be. But because of, I would have got home from India 3 days ago, been in Brazil. But due to our lovely airlines, we're not going anywhere right now. So we've had it moving everything into April, but we're doing a trip to India in April. And I'll be going into Brazil in April to work on business plans with our leadership there to help them start getting businesses going in northern Brazil. So if you want to come on a trip and see it. And by the way, when we go, just to have clarity, we don't go in and run a camp for the kids. We will participate. We'll go alongside. We'll play the games with the kids. The leaders there lead. Because if you don't let them lead, they will turn to us, and we do not want them to turn to us. So you'll be sitting, watching, and you'll sit in some rooms that are like 39 degrees Celsius with about 90% humidity, and you'll drink lots of water and sweat lots. But it's all good. Cool. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.